Okay. So like I said, these are not my designs. Let me say it now so that when once it's uploaded on YouTube, it won't be like this is your design. So first, this is not my design. So what are the reusable components that we need to look out for in this particular design? We have these three components, right? So I'll bring out this one, I'll bring out this one, and I'll leave the three here together. Or let's make do with this first one. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make this a component. So I'll make this a component by clicking here, make it a component. And for me, I'm going to rename this to my counter. After making it a component, I'll rename it to my counter. Now the next thing I'm going to do is after renaming it, now one more thing to do is you can decide to put it here immediately, or you actually get to leave it. So I think what I something I did reduce this. Let me take it up. So now this is my counter here. The next thing I'm going to do is after getting my counter, I'll come to this place and I'll get to replace it. So I'll copy this Ctrl C and I'll come here and I'll replace this paste to replace to put my component inside of this frame. Now that I've done that, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to now add a variable. So after pasting this now, I'm going to start creating variables for each of these. So the next thing I'll do is I'm going to make this a component too, and I'll call it my product card. So after making this my product card, I'll just leave it. I have my counter, I have my product card. So I'll go to variables and I would come here and let's rename this to I'm going to rename this as product. So after renaming it, there are properties that you now need to create. Remember what we talked about Figma variable properties. We talked about the color, the number, and that's the what we use mostly is the number. But for this, I'm going to create a string. So I'll create a string, and what I'm going to call it is I'm going to call it I'm just going to call it product name. So after calling it product name, I'm going to now make it the name of this. So let's say, so this is a mistake. So let me just make it a T so that I would understand. So I'll just copy this Ctrl C and I'll paste it here. That's the product name, right? Now the next one is I'm going to now do a variable and I'll name it price. So I'll create the next one, which is going to be a number variable. And I'm going to call this number variable a price. So for this, I'm just going to copy this price that we have here and I'm going to paste it here as my price. Now that I have this one, I'm now going to create another variable, but this time around it's also still going to be a number variable. Now for this number variable, I'm going to call it item count. Item count, and I'm going to call it 0. I'm going to leave it at 0. Now the next one I'm going to create is I'm going to create one more, but this time around it's not going to be a number, it's going to be a boolean. Remember what we talked about boolean? A boolean variable is something that you can set to true or false. So I'm just going to name this add to cart or added to cart, and I'll leave it at this particular price. I'll leave it here. So are we together? Is there any question so far? So let's take it step by step, or let's take it bit by bit. Is there any question? Any question? All right, so let me just take your silence as there's no question. You understand why? All right, so let me ask a question. Why did I create a Boolean variable? Hello? I'm breaking.
Yes, ma, you were breaking.
Oh, sorry about that. Can you hear me now very well? Like very well now.
Yes, I can hear you now. It's better now.
Oh, okay. So I think it's actually network issue. Well, we are good now. Okay, so let's say there's no question. So first step is you make it a component, right? And after you're done making it a component, you now get to remember what we did for our colors, where we had to add individual variables, where we had to add the different variables. So that's the same thing we are doing with this particular element. I think I need to change network. Just give me a sec. I got this from. So this is what I did, right, Olamide. I got this from Figma Elements, but it's something that we can create, right? The reason why I did not create it is because first there's no time, and secondly it's something that we can all create this. So what we are trying to do is when you want to add something to carts, right? When you're adding something to carts, that's what we are actually doing here. A cart, a add to carts feature. So what I did is, oh god. Okay, so can you hear me? Sorry about that. So what I'm doing is I'm just replacing all of these things that we had before. So you can get them from anywhere, from Figma community. You can design it yourself. This is not something that is hard to design. It's how is my okay. Okay. So now that we've replaced all these items with our components, now the next thing we need to do is we need to now create modes for all of this. So I'm just going to create like four modes. So the first one, we've created the first mode, right? Come to this part. You can see the first mode. So for this, I'm just going to just so that I'm not confused. I'm just going to create these modes like this. So I'll change the name to this first name, and then I'll create the next mode. On our images, you can see that they already renamed all our images. Where we have the first one is so the first one which we have there is called espresso. No, classic cheese tea. Let's just put it like that. So the next one is caramel. So I'll just come here and I'll rename this to caramel. And this for price, how much do you want to put it based on your price? The value here, the value count is still zero, and the variable is also still zero. So copy this. God, I think this is network. So, but can you hear me now? Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you.
All right, so let's continue. So you got up to this point, right, where we have to now create modes for each of them. So we have to create modes for each of these. Which one is duplicated there? This is this is to this is to this, and this is to this. Okay, so we have five of it. So the first one is, should I just change the name so that I don't confuse us? Let me use the exact name that is here, please. Or let's leave it like that. So for mode 2, we've gotten this. So I'll copy this and I'll paste it here. So basically what we are doing with these modes is we are now creating different modes for it and different prices. So this is for it. Then the next one is iced coffee. So let's say iced coffee, and I'll come here and I'll do iced coffee. Control V. What am I putting as iced coffee price? I can decide to put 15 and then 0. Leave this one as 0. Then I'll create another one. So I think this is the last one I'm going to create. Um, this chocolate, and I'll do the same. And then we've created all our modes, right? We've created all our modes. So now the next thing we need to do is let me confirm that everything is this is applied. This is applied. This is applied. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this and paste our layer. Okay, this is our layer. So what I'm going to do is in the layer you can see that we've created different ones. So I'm just going to swap these to classic T, and then I'll come here, still do the same thing, and I'll swap this to caramel. And oh, so there's something we did not do, yeah. So there's something we did not do. Can you see it? Our price did not change. So we did not make our price what's it called? So I'm going to click on this and come to text layout, and I'm going to give this a price. So you can see that it has changed here. So you can see that it has changed, but initially it did not change. And let's see this one. Let me move this thing first. Then for this, I'll do the same thing. I'll come to layer and I'll give it iced coffee, and I'll come to this and I'll do the same thing to it, and I'll give it hot chocolate. So you see that we successfully changed all our so we successfully changed all. Is there any question here? Like any question here before we move on? Guys, is there any question? Okay. So the reason why I'm asking for question is so that we'll get to do it together. But now back to your question. Who asked that question? I think it was let me do plus. So I think it was Vivian and Victory that asked the question. Now, how about the images? You know that the images have not changed. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come to this image and I'll right click on all. I'll make all a component. I'll make this a component first of all, sorry. I'll make it a component. And after making it a component, you can see that it's a component. So the next thing I'll do is I'm now going to make all these ones also a component. So I'm going to make all of this also a component. So after making it a component, right, let me bring out one of it, and then you can see then I'm going to make all these other ones a component, so and just make them, what am I pressing? Create multiple components. So now I've created all of these as multiple components. Now I need to create the instant swap of this. So what did I do here? I need to make this instant swap. So then I've made this a component, right? Now it's for me to make all these other ones instant swap. So I'll just have to make them a component again. So guys, I had to pick a call. So I'm trying to create this as a component first of all. I'm trying to make this instant swap here. And okay, so I know what I did. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace this. So I'm now going to come on this and click on this, and you can now see the. Did I just ungroup this thing? So this is a component. So let me bring out this one first and keep it here. So I'll copy this and I'll come to this and replace it. So let me come to this and replace it. So after replacing it here, you can now see the instant swap. So the reason why I could not see the instant swap before is because I did not put it in here. So I'll just come to instant swap, and I would add all the elements that I want to add as instant swap. So now that it's showing, this is the time for us to now make all of these ones a component set. So I'll create it as components, and I can come back to my design, and create the instant swap. So I'm going to list all of them that is here. So let me see, classic cheese, current is hot chocolate, iced tea. So these are the ones I used. So let's just leave it. We've created the instant swap. So I can now change each of them here on this. So I can now change each of the elements. So for this, I'm now going to come here and change it to caramel, blah blah blah. For this, I'll do the same thing and I'll change it to iced coffee. And for this, I'll do the same thing and I'll change it to hot chocolate. So we've successfully done this. Please, is any other person doing this? Am I even recording? Okay, I'm recording. Like I said, we are doing this together. So let's be okay. Michael, your hand is off. Hello, Michael. You can ask your question. Oh, okay. Okay, Victor, your hand is off.
Okay, please, why do we have to use an instance swap? I think normally if all those cards are like components, we can always just change it like at the component space. But why do you have to use instance swap?
Oh, okay.
That's what I wanted to ask.
All right, so you know that if I just create this as components here, I'm going to see all of them, right? I'll see them. Yeah, you're right. I'm going to see all of them. But you see the method of what I will now have to do is I'll now come to individual elements, double click and drag and drop. It might actually affect what I'm doing. So making it an instant swap is actually very easy. You just get to click on it and change it. So I can still come here and change this particular one to anyone I want. So instant swap will give you the kind of elements you want together. You want to be able to switch between. So who's knocking? Oh, okay, yeah. So that's why you need to do it. All right. So is there any other question before we continue? So now what we need to do is sorry, no, it's forever. Oh, okay, sorry about that, Amo. I'm so sorry about today. But now the next thing we'll get to do, right, is after we are done with this one, remember that the first thing I said we should do is we should look for reusable components and actually um change it. So now that we have this, what I'm going to do is just like we did, this taking like just like we did for the first one. I'm going to copy this counter and I'll come here and I'll paste the counter. I'll do my normal paste to replace and I would have this counter here. Then for this, I would come to this also and I would use my mode, my this thing that I already changed, and I'll do product name and I'll come to the price also and I'll change it to the price. So once I'm done changing it, I can now make this a component back. And this should be our cart. This should be our cart card. Yeah, yeah, I can see it. Let me just try to adjust it. So let's. Oh, I would have been able to do this. So you know that because this is a component now, I might not be able to adjust it. Okay, okay. So we've adjusted it, right? Yeah, we've done the adjustment, but this is not in the center. So let me see how to bring it to the center here. Mm. So now you now see the reason why it's actually very good that you make this a component so that you can be able to change one from one master component to another. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this now and I'm just going to cut it or copy it, anyone you want to do. Then I'll come here and as usual paste to replace. And now that we are done with this, what I'll do is so before then let me just bring out this. So this and this, they are the same. So let me leave this one outside. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to control D this and I'll duplicate this into four. Oh, this is not going to contain. So let me just bring it outside and create it into 4, right? Because we have 4 of that. So we are using how many products? 4 products. So I'll come here, click again, and you know what I'm doing. This is classic cheese, and what am I doing with these two? Caramel, and I'm going to do this also, and make it iced coffee, and I'm going to do this again, hot chocolate. So I'm done with all of this. Now we need to also change this for each of them. But one thing you need to note is the image that we use here and the image that is here, they are not the same size. So we'll do the same thing we did for that first one. Make it a component, and then I'm going to bring it out. Shift and Alt. Why is my Alt not working? Okay. I'm going to bring it out and Control X first. Then I'll come here and I'll replace it. Um, Paste to replace. And I'll paste to replace. Pasting inside the current selection is not possible. Okay. So sorry about that. So the network is everywhere. It's not just your network. Oh, look at me. Oh. Can you just imagine? I'm going to replace, and nobody even told me on this call. I'm going to replace it where I'm not supposed to replace. So this is where I'm supposed to replace it. Paste to replace. So which one did I choose? Okay, the first one. And I've pasted it to replace it. So I can now have the instant swap. But before I have the instant swap, this is what I'm going to do. Let's try to name all of this. Okay, it's 2. Let's name this 3. Let's name this 4. And so what I'm going to do is, after naming all, same thing we did, I'm going to make them a components, multiple component sets, and then we can now come to this place and do the instant swap. And then I'm doing 3, 2, 1, and 4. Create property. So now that we are done creating the property, we can now change them from here. So this one is correct, right? This one is correct. So I'll change this one to which one is this? Is caramel, and this is iced coffee, and this is hot chocolate. So which one is this? Okay, this is our classic tea, and we've gotten all of this one. Please, guys, is there any other question before we start? Before we continue, sorry. Okay, so there's no question. So now that we are done with all of this, right? I'm just going to um so you can now move this to any place you want it to be. You can now move this. We are practically done with that particular stuff. So this is just what we would now have to work with. So now we've done all of those things. So the first thing we'll do now is to now start doing the what's it called, the prototyping. So where's this one? Okay, so this one is also here. So now the next thing we get to do is we now get to now create for our cards. So this particular one, you know that we did not create for this particular one variable. So I will just come here. So I'll just come here local variable. So the same way we created this, I'm going to now create a new variable. Where is it? So I'm now going to create collection, and I'm going to create this as I'm going to rename this and I'll call it cart. So we want to create those items for the cart the same way we created all of these individual items, right? So that's what we are doing. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to now create a number variable, right? So it's practically the same thing we did with the first one, where we had to start creating them one after the other. So we'll create a number variable and you call it a count, your cat count. So I'll call it the cat count before the light bulb. And I'll leave it at 0. So the next one I'm going to create again is, oh, sorry. So I'm going to create another one as a number variable. So I'm going to create this as total, the total amount. Remember that in our cart we have so this is what we are doing. We are doing this where we have the cart number, the total amount, and all of that. So I'll just give the total amount to be 0. So we'll now create one last one, which is the boolean. So this time we don't have text. So what we are going to do is we are going to say if it's empty, if empty, or is anyone you want to use. If empty, then this should be true. So are we following?
Please, can you come again?
Okay. So we are now going to do our cart, right? This is our cart. This is our cart screen. So under our cart screen we have the cart count, that the number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we have the total amount. And then the last one is if it's empty. That if your cart is empty, this particular one, if it's empty, that's true. You're not turning on. Remember that we said boolean is what we used to do true or false. And for the other ones we created, we made it false. So for this one, we are making it true. So the other ones are not empty. From the first one, we know that we created 2 collections. The first collection is our product, and the next collection is our cards. So that's what I created here. The cart count, the total amount, and then the value, the boolean value for it. So once we are done with that, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to now come here to this particular so now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm now going to come to this particular one, and this number, I'll link this number to our cat count that we did. So I've linked the number to our cat count. So we that's mostly what we want to do now. So now the prototype that we are going to create, right? We are not going to create it on the okay, I did not do this. So let me reset this to this so it will be equal. So this is what we want to create. We are creating our interactions on this particular thing. And we are doing it on this. So the first thing I'll do is I'll come to this plus button. I'll come to plus button and then I'll go to prototype, and I'm going to interaction. Then on click, it should instead of navigate to, so we'll be doing set variable. And now what variable are we setting? Our item count. So what are we setting our item count to? +1. So you're setting it to um addition +1. Guys, this is math. So this is math. So this is just what we want to do, right? We want that if I click on plus, if I add 1 to it, it should work. That's what we are trying to do. So let me cancel everything and start back. Let me cancel this. Let me cancel this and start back. So we want to do the interaction for this particular plus button. So this is what we want to do. We want to do for this plus button. So we'll go to prototype, right? And would add the interaction to say on click, it should on click, sorry, it should set variable. Now this variable we are setting, what are we setting the variable to? We are setting it to item count. That's this item that we are counting. All of these things that we have here are item count. That's what we are setting it to. So we are now setting it to to item count, and then we would add addition +1. So guys, do we get this? Okay, Victory, your hand is up.
Okay, ma. How many times did you have to click on item count for it to bring out the addition that we now clicked on, that we now added those one?
Okay, so let's do it again. You click on item count, right? Add the interaction. You know the interaction we're adding on click. It's variable that we set. And then what is the variable? What are we trying to do? This item count. So what are we linking it to? To item count. That's what you're linking to, right? We are linking to item count. Now it will, once you click on it, it's now going to bring the multiplication for you. It's not going to bring the other ones for you. So yours is just to be clicking. So once you click, it's going to bring it for you. So the first one is item count, and you're still linking it to still item count. And if you put addition, it will now ask you what are you adding. You just put +1, and that's it. So remember that we've gone back to design. This 0, we did not change it. So I'm going to click on that 0 and then link it to, so we'll still link it to item count. So that's it. So we've gotten this one. So now let's see if it's working. So one thing is to create it in there. This is 375. So let's go back to prototype settings. Which device is this? 375. And then we can play it and see what we have. So you can see that this is working. You can see what is working. The only thing that is working now is the plus. So what do you think we should now do for the minus?
We'll do the same thing, but instead of addition, we'll use subtraction.
Yeah. So we are doing the same thing for the minus. Alright, so we'll now go back to the design. Here's the design. So we'll go to the minus. Um okay, so we'll go to the minus. So it will still be interaction on click. on on tap one click anyone set variable. So what are we setting it to? Item count. What are we setting it to? Item count. And what are we doing? Subtraction minus 1. And let's see if this is working now. So what I'm doing is I'm doing it in the master component. I'm doing it in the master component. So the master component, that's what I'm doing it to. Now you can see that this is working, but there's something. You can have minus, and you can't have minus in Jumia. You can't have a minus goods in Jumia, right? So we now need to set a condition. So what I'll do is see this add button, this plus button. Now I'm going to click on the plus and add a condition to it. Now the condition should be if the item count is greater than 0. If the item count is greater than 0, then you can now if the item count is equal to 0, the thing should come. Ah, what did I just do? If the item count is equal to 0, it should. So guys, what should we do here? Math students. I said we are doing this thing together, so let's do it. Let's see the math students in this class. Okay, so now this is what we are just going to do. Very simple. So what I'm going to do is instead of rewriting all of these things, I'm just going to drag this and put it in section. So that's what we need to set. So that's just it. That's what I wanted us to do. We needed to set an action, but what action do we need to set? This particular action, but if we want, we cannot start doing it from the starting again. So let's see if it's working now. So you can see that it's working now. Once you get to 0, it stops. So any questions so far? Are we all confused? Okay. So good thing. You know what? I'm also going to let me not promise what I can fulfill, but this is what you need to do now to make this work. So you for the condition you're adding, you're saying if the item count is greater than 0, or is it yes, if it's greater than 0, you need what you have in this first place to become the action. So all I did was to drag and drop it. So So now we need to set another variable, right? Let me close this. We need to set another variable. So what is the variable we are setting? What is it? We still need to come to this plus part and set the variable for our count count. So what we are doing for this, right? We are still going to click on this particular one, and then we'll get to interaction again, and we'll set a variable. Let me close this one. So on this now, I'll now click on this plus here, sorry. I'll click on this plot and I'll still set a variable. Now this variable that I'm setting, what am I setting? I'm setting for cat counts. So now what are we setting for this? We are setting the item count. Now what we'll do is plus item count again, plus item count, and then plus item count. So guys, did we get up to this point? I know that we did not get it, but let me just explain it. So what we are doing with this, right? We have different counts, right? So what we are trying to do with this is we want to do in a situation where if I click on plus, it gets to enter the count. Do you get? So if I click on plus, it should enter the cart. So this particular part now, what we are doing with this, please, oh, victory, don't be lost. Let's come back. What we are doing with this particular part, right? We are trying to think of the user flow. What is the user flow? The user flow is a user is supposed to come to the platform, right? Once a user should come to the platform, and as a user, if I click on plus, I should be able to add item to carts. So just take it like you're thinking of the user flow. Add item to cart. And how many items do we have in this our card? So with that, we'll be able to answer that question. How many items do we have? We have 4 items that we already set as variables. These are the 4 items. So that's why we are adding this into 4. You get? Victor, do you get now? That's why we added all of this into 4. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to click on each of the elements and then select the mode. Why is this thing going up? No, see, please, if you don't get it, let's stick here. It's better that we stick in one place than to move and then at the end of the day, we did not get it. So, like I said, think of it like your user flow, right? You're thinking of it like your user flow. First thing you need to do is in a add to cart situation, we first of all done our buttons to be working, plus and minus to be working. This recording, I don't know, I'm recording to my system. I just pray everything goes fine and cool. Everything goes perfect. Everything goes as planned. If not, but this is what we are going to do. Yeah, I'm not going to overload us. We really don't have much things to do. We don't have much things to do again, so we'll take time to we are able to get it. So now I said the first thing is, let me close all of these things. I think these things that are open is distracting us. So let's go again. Now this is what we are doing, right? We are trying to do a flow. That's add to cart flow. And now the add to cart flow, if you know user flow very well, the first thing is your user journey. Now what's the first thing you do in your user journey? The first thing is we had to make this work. That means what we did for this is we should be able to add it. Oh, hey, this thing is already working. So we should be able to add. So that's the first thing we did, right? We should be able to add this to cart. That's the first thing that we should be able to do plus. Now the next thing we are doing under the same condition is we are setting another variable that is for the cart count. That's this number. If I put one, if I add one, it should show here that I've added one. If I add two, it should show that I have added two. That's what we are doing. So because we have four cards, one, two, three, four, we had to create it four times. The same thing you do, plus you add, plus you add, plus you add. That is what I did. So now let's come back. We are not done with this one, though. We are not really done with this. So in each of them, right, in each of the items, if I click on it, I want to choose the item. The first one is the classic cheese. Then if I click on the second one, I want to add caramel this. If I click on the third one is what? Is it iced coffee. Then if I click on the fourth one is hot chocolate. So that's how you now need to link all of them up. So I think we are done with this. The fourth one hot chocolate. Yes, iced coffee and hot chocolate. So you can see it's one, two. If I add here, it's three. If I add, so for anyone I add, you can see that is increasing. So guys, do you get? So we've done it the fourth time. Well, we've done it four times. So the next thing is after you do it four times, you now need to now select each of the individual elements to now choose which of the items you want it to be. So it's only Victory that is talking in this class. Is it that the other persons will understand very well? Okay. So how many do we have here? We have two. We have two variables. So what do you think is the next thing, guys, for those of us following? Because I will not be there when you are doing it. What do you think is the next thing? So what you are doing is for the subtract button, set variable. So we are still doing item count. What are we doing it to? Item count to what? No, we are doing cut count, not item count. Cut count, and we are doing it to item count plus item count plus item count. So plus item count plus item count. So we have done the same thing for the second one. Now the next thing we'll do is the same way we did iced tea. We link it to caramel tea. We link it to this tea, and we link it to this tea. So that's the same thing. Now let's see if we remove it. Wait, what happened? Did you guys notice that did I remove? Hey, I've gone to remove something. Oh. Guys, can you see? I've removed this prototype, this minus prototype. Oh, okay. Yes, I've removed the first variable. So we'll go back to create the first variable. So let me create the first variable, which is set variable. What did we do that time? Who can remember what we did? You guys should be the ones to teach me now. Who can remember what we did?
We set the variable to item count.
Yeah, set the variable to item count. So what is the expression?
The expression is if
S- Subtracted by 1. That's the
you are
first one. Yeah, but then it's entering minus, so we now need to create another variable, right? Now we now need to add a condition to it. So the condition will be what's the condition? If
if
um
item count equals to zero,
if
greater than zero,
if item count greater than 0,
zero.
this is what we did. Then we now what did we now do? We now drag this. We now drag this condition into, where's our minus condition? Into the minus. Okay, so it should work now. It's not working now. So that means we did not drag it well. We should now drag
We
the,
drag the minus condition into the if condition.
okay. We drag the minus condition into the if. Okay. So we are following. We are all following. So this is working. So this one is working, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. If you reduce it, it's still working. When last did you guys do mass? When last did you do mass? 2019. We are doing it here. Oh. So the first time I learned this thing, 'So now, based on what I've said so far about user flow, knowing your user flow, what do you think is the next thing we need to do? We've gotten this plus, we've gotten this minus. What is the next thing? What is the thing you think we need to do at this point now? So let me bring this in, right? What's the next thing? The next thing is a user should be able to come to the cart. So wait, let's leave price first. Let's do carts. User should be able to come to carts first. So what interaction are we going to use for carts? For carts, I just need to click on this, right? Or click on this and click on this. Once I click on cart prototype, this one is normal thing that we know. You should on tap, you should navigate to this, and the animation should be smart animate or instant, anyone you want to use. And then so you have done this one. So once I click on this, it should lead me to this one. So but then if I click on back, it should lead me to. So what I'm going to do is I'm still going to come to the back button, and then I would do this same thing, no issue. So I think this is ready. So now that we are done with this is the cart, right? And where's our layer? Remember that we created something for carts. Who remembers? Let me be sure that I'm having the right this thing. So we created a layer. Well, I can't even see the layer again. So this is what we want to, okay, this is it. So I'll come to layer, right? We created for this now. Let me check my what's it called, my local variable again. We created for it. So where is it hidden? I can't find it. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Someone should help me look for it. It has disappeared though. Someone should help me look for it. The people that are following. Nobody can help me look for the ID set. Says we can't find it, ma. Oh, okay. So we all can't find it. But we'll look for it together. Can you see it? I wanted us to look for it because you know that if you are looking for something, we already know the other one. You already know the other ship. But if the other ship is not there now, you feel like you've not done it right. So all you needed to do was to right click on this eye, and instead of left clicking, sorry, did I just add something to it? What did I just do? So just to right click on this layer eye. So after right clicking, you can now see the cart is empty. So we've linked that is empty to it. And that's what we just needed to do. You can now see it here if it's empty. We've actually linked it to this. So I'm now going to select this first one, this one. Yeah, so that's what you just needed to do. So now the next thing is I'm going to this thing is showing one, right? So we are going to now link this one, the price. Remember that we did for count. So we'll just link it to, so what are we linking it to? We are linking it to cart count for it to go back to 0. Okay. So now we'll do the same thing for the total price, right? So we'll come here, link it to total, and we'll do this one to link it to total. So now that we've done all of this, so now that we've done all of this, we've done the add cards, we've linked everything, right? the next thing is we need to now create this as an auto layout. So I'll do Shift A, and then I'll bring this and I'll put it in the auto layout. Then I'm going to move this to the top, and that's it. So I want to bring this into this. So what I'm going to do next is, after doing the Shift A, you can decide to now reduce how many spacing do we have. So let's leave it 10. And this is not going to enter here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click and make this a frame selection. So after making it a frame section, I'm now going to use control or anything you use to bring this thing off, to stop where you feel like it's good to stop. Then you can now clip content. After clipping the content, I'll go to prototype, and then I'll add is this horizontal or vertical scrolling? I think it's vertical. So just bring it inside. Bring it inside. So we have everything now. So oh, we've added something. Oh. We've done something. Let me remove this. Where's our total? So let me remove this and bring our total and keep it here, and then bring this one in. So okay, our total is now showing now. It's actually okay. Now we now need to start setting all of this thing one after the other. How about we fix the total to the bottom? Any way you want to do it, is good actually. Any way you want to do it. For me, I just remove that. I don't want to start creating this as a frame and then fixing it, you get. So now, what's the thing we need to do is we now need to go back to our variable, right? And go to this our product part. Remember that we created two. We did false, false, false. So what we were trying to do is we can't have the two together, right? We can't have the two data together. We can't have it together, right? So what we are going to do is we can now turn it to true. So I'm pausing so that because it's confusing. I don't know, maybe we'll have to do this one more time. We are going to do this one more time. So now what we are going to do is we are still going back to our layer, and we'll tie all of this to, where is that this so if I click on this first one, and I'll come to my layer and I'll right click and I'll link it to added to cart. You can see that the thing left. So I'll still do the same thing for this. I'll still do the same thing for this second one, and I'll right click on this and link it to added to cart. It will still leave, and I'll do the same for the third one, and I'll right click added to cart, and I'll do the same thing, and I'll right click and added to cart. So we have just this. We have all of them, but it's only just this one that is showing. So this one is already tied to cart is empty. So this is okay. And that's it. So this is that's the next thing to do. First of all, so what you're trying to achieve is if I click on add to cart, it should add to cart. If I remove it, it should leave. So now we'll now come to this part. So now what we'll do now is if I click on this plus and come to photo type and I'll come to this particular part. So which of them is with this count setting? So add a condition. If item count is greater than 0, we want to be able to change guys, are we together?
Yes, ma.
So what we did is we added a condition. If item count is greater than 0, what do you think we should do, mass students?
Then added to cart to become true or something like that. Sha.
Mm-hmm. So add action, which is set variable. Which of the variable are we using? Added to cart. Added to cart to true to true, and that's it. So this is all we are doing. If we had to set a condition that if this is greater than 0, then this added to cart should be true. You get? So that's what we'll do. Let's go back and see it. One, if I come to cart, you can see that it has added to cart. So we've been able to get that one. So now, but there's a particular problem, right? So if I still go back to cart and I add this one, I have two. I should be able to see two. So you see that we've gotten this one. This thing is supposed to be a frame. Well, we'll get to do that later. Um, but once you start adding price, it's going to start adding. So now we now need to set another condition, right? So this condition is where are we going to set it on? Minus. So we'll set it on minus, and would say once this what? Sorry. So what are we setting now? Conditional. Once the item count of this thing is not scrolling my screen. Once the item count, once the item count is what? What expression are we doing? People that are following, please unmute. I can't be looking at chat at this point. Is equal to expression. Which of them are we doing? See,
Please,
I'm
can you
doing
come
this so
again,
that.
ma?
So what expression are we putting here? We are using we are doing the minus, right? If count item, if account item is what?
Greater than
Yes, ma. So
zero.
should we be using the else
Is
condition or
equal.
another if condition?
We are using the if condition. Oh, conditioner. If item count is equal to, how many equal to is your, oh, two is equal to what? Zero. Then what should happen? Then what's the action?
The card should be empty. Like the golden card should be true.
Yeah, equal to zero. Then card should be false. No. So if count equal to zero, um let me remove this condition and add it back. This is it, right? We are tapping on it and we are adding a condition. Set a condition if item count, if item count is equal to zero, and then set variable is I'm supposed to just see that immediately, but I can't find it here. That count equal to zero. Let me see what. There's something in my cart actually. We have three items, so I want to So once I get to zero, this is what we want to send. Once we get to zero, it should be zero. So if this gets to zero, oh, this is empty, should be false. If item count equals to zero, then set variable, what have we said? Added to cart should be false. So I did not click the set variable and I was expecting magic. Zero. Which we still have our stuff in our cart, so there's something we've tampered with. Put in pocket. If item cart equal to zero, set variable added to cart is false. So is it? So let's see where this condition is. Which one is this again?
Now check the first condition, the item count to this one up here.
I should.
Like check the first condition.
Okay.
Maybe that's why it is still showing.
Where's the first condition?
This one here, yes, this one up here. Before
Okay.
else, if item count is greater than zero.
Okay. Is equal to zero. Then so what we are trying to do is remember that we have a cart. Oh, so let me just close this and reload this. So sometimes it can happen like that. So let's see. So what we are doing is if we add something to cart, it should enter. And then if we remove it from cart, it should also enter. What is this now? Okay. So we are back to 0, 0, right? If I add one and I go to my cart, I should see it. And if I remove it, it should disappear. Chicken now, that's what we want to do. And this thing is still showing one item. Which one is one item? Hey, I've gone to do something. Oh. So you can see that you need to be careful about it. I've removed all the items, but it's still showing three items here. If I remove this, it's it's supposed to move. But we get it right. I don't think we can continue. We can complete this thing today. Oh. Can we? So then, what we need to also do one more thing. We don't want to see this thing again. We don't want to see this thing again. If I add something to cart, there's no need to see this empty stuff. Guys, you know what? Let's stop here. Let's stop here and get to this point. We've not done price. We've not done there's something that we did, you know, right? There's something that we did that we've come to add this thing. I don't know if we have tampered with the condition. I think we have. But if you don't know conditioner mass, go and learn it now, please. Cause if you want to be doing this, you need to actually do. The importance of doing this is when you're actually sending stuff to stakeholders, you can be able to tell them that you know how to, if you're trying to present add to carts and all of that, to be able to do it well. So now for in our next class, I know that we've not done that alphabet complete. I will start this one complete alphabet and this one. So what we've been able to achieve today is we've been able to make this not to be more than once it's 0, it should stick at 0. We've been able to add this, we can add this, we can add any of these. So for this, let's go back to design. This is not the reason why this is not doing, so I'll just do shift A, this and this, shift A, then just the way we did shift A, right click and make this a frame selection. After making it a frame selection, use your shift, use your control to drag this up here and clip contents, and then prototype, um scrolling. Is this horizontal or vertical? This is horizontal. Let me
No,
see this.
vertical.
Oh, this is vertical. Okay,
Yeah.
vertical. So so yeah, this is what we want to see. We can add this, we can add this, we can add this. And how many items do we have in carts? We have 7 items in carts. 3, 6. This is 6. Oh guys, do you know why this is here? So who can tell me why this is why? Even if we remove this, if we remove
Because
this, you still will have one.
no item in your cart is the last item that we added.
Yes, 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 yes. So in the next class, we are going to remove this no item. Then we are going to do this. So the goal is if I add one item, the price should also increase. You get,
Yes, and the no item in cart should disappear.
should disappear. So we have to do no item in cart disappear, price increase, and I think we are good with this. So I'm going to try. I have the note. I'm going to try to write down the steps out before weekend. Tomorrow is Friday already, and my tomorrow is choked. So before weekend, I'll look for a way to write down the steps one after the other and send it on the chat too. But for those of you that got it, you can without waiting for me, you can also write down the steps for people. Oh. I know that Victory got it, so Victory can actually write it. The video, yeah, is in my system. That's not the funny thing, but I'm going to uh I'm going to see how I'll compress it and send it. Victory, shey you got all the steps. You can just write the text for us now, please. Now we are begging. Believe, says Ma. Good evening, boss. Let me stop recording. Please, Victor, we are begging all of us.